to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
me, Rob. What a big show we got to talk about.
Oh, we got so much news to go over. There's news, and more. There's press conferences. There's people getting fired. There's all kinds of chaos going on in the NFL world today.
NFL caught fire.
This NFL is on fire. Won't someone put out the fire?
Some people blame Canada.
Yes.
My God.
Not even a real country anyway.
There's a team that went through 3 head coaches in the past 4 years since the new owner took over. My God.
Insanity. All right. Let's start breaking down all the news here. So first, we start off, obviously, if you missed it yesterday or you're living under a rock somewhere, yesterday Jay Glazer had talked about Wink and Dable, saying basically the relationship wasn't the best, and Wink may be gone before the end of the season. We talked about that during the post game yesterday there. But also, again, as mentioned, Brian Dable even handed the game ball to Wink after the game there. What we didn't go over is the post-game presser, all the kind of stuff that came out during that. I know a lot of you guys are interested in what's going on behind the scenes there since that came out. In the post-game presser, Dable said, and this is quotes here, the biggest argument that Wink and I have had is over who has the last piece of pizza. Have a lot of respect for Wink. He's done a great job for us. Leave it at that. But then later he added.
Before we move on to it, as a big guy, see lots of big guy shame another big guy.
I mean, listen, it's Jersey pizza, so it's okay.
Touche. Listen, I'll eat like 6 slices by myself. So
I've been known to eat a whole pie by myself. Yeah. It's. Listen,
I've done that before.
Especially now, like I miss good pizza. Ooh, that's one of the worst.
New Jersey, I'll take it as an awesome spot in Eatontown.
I'm telling you, this is one of the worst things ever when you move to out of Jersey in general. I can say to the Tampa Bay area specifically, the food is just never the same. There's a lot of pros to go with it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not upset where I live, obviously, or I'd move. But the food I miss. I miss the food. Anyway, he said later on, which is funny, he said, I'll leave it at that. And then later on, he adds to it. Let's leave it there. Anyway.
Yeah. And then
he says, have a lot of respect for Wink. He's a heck of a coach. I'm glad he's on the staff. Pretty much basically did everything positive he could have, short of saying Wink will be on the staff next year. Those words never came out of his mouth, which I did find a little bit interesting, but I'm also not shocked because there's still a lot of time to go. Decisions have to be made at the end of the year. A lot can happen in the last 5 weeks. I mean,
I didn't know how much I bought into yesterday here and all that going in, but we almost lost Wink last year. We almost lost Kafka last year to head coach jobs.
Yes,
he is playing. Wink is still doing what he's done. Like, granted, like our offense is doing what it did last year, but Wink has been pretty dominant in playing pretty good football with the talent that he has.
Oh, yeah.
So to say that he's not going to be there next year is not to say like he's going to get him fired. What if he gets hired somewhere else?
Well, I don't think that he would have said that. He would have said we'd like to have him back next year or something like that. Would have been sufficient in that respect, you know?
Yeah, I think that's too much read into it.
Like I said, I'm just saying that because there's a lot of in between the lines with these kind of pressures always. Now today, Dable had his bye-week presser. Bye.
Bye.
Dable said he's done, in quotes, done with talking about reports about his relationship with defensive coordinator Wink Martindale, and then proceeds to talk about it. He says, I just met with Wink a little ago. We had donuts. More fat shaming. There's more fat
Yeah,
shaming.
right.
I swear, it's like we need to like set up Wink and Dable with like Weight Watchers or something. Goddamn. Dable
We
also
just
was
kind of
asked.
our points together.
We had 30 cups of water. Dable was also asked about giving Wink the game ball after the win. He said basically he did because we had another game of 3 turnovers and held them to 7 points. Which, I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
Why that was there. I don't know why there was even a question. Why did you give the guy the game ball, whose side of the ball clearly is what determined the win?
yeah.
Crazy. So Dory Jackson after the game was also asked about the issue and what happened, what his reaction was to the report. He said, "I was shocked. Like I said, if they're arguing over anything, it's probably the last piece of food." There's so much fat shaming in this whole thing. He said, "They don't get into it. I see them every day. I see their expressions, their body language, their faces. They're always laughing, having a good time, joking. It was shocking to hear that." What I thought was interesting is you notice there's a food thing going on with all these things. Like we were joking around about it, but part of that makes me believe it's true because it's such a specific thing to talk about and have multiple people now talk about it.
With the both fat.
Part of me is like, is that like the company line they were told? Just tell them they get along great. If they fight over anything, it's food because they're both fat. People find it funny.
Or it could be that, or they fat shame each other in the locker room and talk about going out and different types of food.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
People do have relationships like that. And like you said, it is New Jersey. There's some good food.
I just don't know. I just don't know which way to think of it. But I do think outside the box that could have been the line that they were kind of told to say. You know what I mean? Makes it more plausible if multiple people say it. So we'll have to keep an eye the rest of the year and see where this progresses. They're not going to tell us point blank if there's issues. Let's be honest. Wink's not going to be like, yeah, I hate that bastard. I can't wait till the season's over to get rid of him. Like that's not. But
you could also underline it like that piece of shit took the last slice of pizza.
That's when the season was over. But you know what I mean? Like that's not going to come out. So it's like we can't overanalyze too much. We just have to say, listen, this is what they're saying. They're not going to tell us the truth if it was bad. So we have to kind of take it with a grain of salt. But we have to hope that because a player is also saying these things, that it's legit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like we heard one source of like how like mad they are at each other, but let's be honest.
Well, I don't dispute. Listen, these are two big egos. We talked about this yesterday. Two big egos used to winning. Of course, they're going to argue when they're not winning. That's life.
But it doesn't mean like they're breaking up over it.
Yeah, it doesn't mean they lost respect. They're going through a rough patch. Okay, they'll make it through. Love finds a way to win. God damn it!
Listen, you can do half pepperoni and half sausage if you guys want.
Meat lovers pizza is always the best.
Yes,
a little chicken parm, some fresh chicken cutlets from DeVito's mom on it.
Did you see DeVito's dad yesterday?
Oh yeah, everybody did. Everybody did. Like, hey, and it's funny. And the big thing, everybody's trying to talk about what does this mean. Like, it just doesn't have to mean anything. Okay, it's just the thing people do. It's
an expression. It's like, I guess, shaking your fist.
It's basically the same thing. It's basically the same thing. All right, on to the next thing here. So we got Kayvon Thibodeaux we got to talk about here because he had a half a sack yesterday. He becomes the first Giant to have 11 or more sacks in a season since JPP did in 2014. That's pretty impressive. Yeah. A decade. That's a long time. Also extends his own record, of course, for most sacks in the season under defensive coordinator Wink Martindale. Interesting because that we talk about JPP there, who literally just minutes before we came on just got signed by the Miami Dolphins off of the New Orleans Saints practice squad. So Dolphins had some pass rusher injuries happen, so they're going to see how much is left of the little tank there.
You know what?
Just if you're going to measure how much gas is in the tank, don't measure with fingers. Just saying.
Yeah, or at least the left hand.
Just use the right hand, not the left.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to pay him, ask him to use his left hand. Here, we got this much left.
Now a lot of news has been going out with the Giants too about the draft pick. Obviously, we've been winning the last couple of weeks, which is not good for our draft pick overall. Good for morale, good for the season, not good for the draft. One that hasn't been talked about too much we wanted to bring up is since the Leonard Williams deal. First off, the Giants are 2-2, which is interesting. I'm just gonna say that's interesting because you would have thought losing a good player like that. I'm not even disrespecting Leo. He's a good player. You would have thought losing a good player like that, you'd go down. No, we're 2-2 since the trade. The Seahawks, meanwhile, are 1-3. They were 5-2 at the time, so they're now up to 6-5. So while the Giants' picks may be losing some value, that second round pick has increased tremendously in value. That pick is currently number 53. It was pick number 61 at the time of the trade. Going up 8 spots is a good get. That's like 1/4 of the round you just went up, basically.
Yep.
So, but also part of me just can't help but feel bad for Leo. It's like, is he cursed to be losing teams? Goes from the Jets to the Giants to the Seahawks tank like the second he gets there.
You see that? I don't know if he actually said it, but there's a tweet that went out saying that he wanted to go to a winning team. And he did go to a winning team.
He did. I mean, technically they're 6-5. They're still winning.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost to the point that I wouldn't be surprised because everyone thought Seahawks were definite in the wild card.
Who knows?
And everyone would laugh at you if the first month of watching the Rams play, if you said they're going to be a wild card. It actually might flip flop. Like I think the Rams might make the playoffs and Seahawks might lose.
You know,
they got to play 49ers again. They got a tough schedule coming up, the Seahawks.
What's the shame is they're done with their extra first round draft picks from the Russell Wilson trade. So they're on their own right now, picking 22. So if they decided to rebuild that offense and get rid of Geno, remember that was a 1-year deal basically, and after 1 year they decide if they want to keep him long term. The way they structure that contract, I'm not sure what's going to happen there with Geno. Geno might be getting punched by somebody else next year. We'll see.
Pete Carroll.
So, speaking of draft standings, the big one everybody wants to know obviously is the Giants. The Giants are now sitting at number 6 in the first round. So not too bad. They win the game. They only go down 1 spot, guys. So everybody freaking out yesterday. We won as far as the draft capital. Let's see what happens there because it's a long way to go still. But going down 1 spot and getting a win, that's a win-win.
Listen, no one's gonna underperform the Panthers this year. They're the number 1.
Yeah, they are definitely the number 1. Chicago has that first pick overall, I think, pretty much settled.
Yeah. I mean, and you look from there. I mean, Arizona has potential to sneak out a couple games.
Yep.
Lose their spots.
The Commanders.
Same
Commanders
thing.
now leapfrogged us. They're number 5. I mean, they can just go ahead. The Bears could go on a tear at any point, and you never know. I mean, it's unlikely, but it's not like they have nothing. The cabinet's not 100% bare like it is somewhere else. The Panthers.
I mean, Justin Fields at this point, he's got to
fighting for his job.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if. How many weeks he got left for the Bears?
5 weeks.
5 weeks or 6?
Yeah, 5 weeks left.
Yeah, but with the bye or not. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Either way,
how many
it's
games
5 weeks.
You say?
Either way, it's 5 weeks.
Okay, so yeah, if he goes 500, well, he can't go 500. If you win 3 games,
he could if he goes 2-2-1.
Touche. All right,
that'd be 500. Touche. Not touche. That's disgusting, pervert.
I mean, think about it. Not that I want to be like, oh, Giants fans, yes, we're going to lose, but we got to play the Eagles twice still.
Yep. Like I said, we're going to lose plenty of games, guys. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
All righty. Let's get into Joe Shane's presser because that's the big one everybody's talking about here. Oh, yeah. He says a lot of things that mean absolutely nothing. Let's be very frank on that. He is a very talkative man who gives up nothing.
Yes. You know what he is? He's a good.
I would hate to play poker with that man. I would not want to play poker.
Yeah, That's a very good analogy because he's going to say what the fans want to hear.
He knows what to say. No, I would doubt. No, I would disagree with you on that with some of the shit he said today.
All right. No,
everything he says that was calculated to make somebody happy, whether it's a fan or a player. I'll put it that way.
Yes, there we go. He's a good politician.
He's calculated. That's what I'm saying.
He's a politician. Nothing
he says is not rehearsed. All right. Let's get into what he did say. So he was asked about the upcoming free agents. He said that'll be postseason conversations. He said we'll leave that for after the season. So they're not going to discuss with Saquon Barkley, Xavier McKinney, any of those guys. They're going to wait till after the season, which tells you basically they want all their options at the end of the season to them because they have no clue what they want to do yet, which is fair. The way the season's going. Yeah. So the expectation, this is what that killed fans, is that when healthy, DJ is going to be the starting quarterback for the Giants again. He said, again, we don't have a crystal ball in terms of how rehab's going to go. Different patients respond differently to these surgeries. And then whether there's going to be swelling of the knee or any setbacks. Nobody has a crystal ball in this, but that's the expectation moving forward. So the Giants are working with the idea that Jones will be the starting quarterback next year. People freaked out over that. Absolutely freaked out. And rightfully so, I get it to a certain degree because, again, DJ's had his chance, he's had his time, and people want to move on. But here's the thing, guys. Let's say hypothetically the Giants win a couple games. And let's say they go to like their pick now, like number 12. And I don't know how far we can get. I'm just playing a hypothetical here for you guys.
Probably not 12, but yeah, I got you.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to hypothetical here. And let's say there's not a quarterback available they think is the guy they think will lead the franchise. I don't want them reaching for a quarterback. As much as I want a quarterback, do not reach, guys. And you can't want them to because let's be very honest. Shane and Dable's job is on the line once they make that pick. If this guy fails, whoever they put to be the quarterback, whether it's this draft or next draft, that's their job right there. Their job 100%. Will rise or fall based on what that guy does. They will either get an extension or they'll be fired based on what that guy does. So don't reach. So let's say hypothetically they can't get a quarterback they think is the guy. They might have to go with Jones for a little while. Or they might pick up a guy in the mid rounds that they think they can develop and see what happens.
I think they perfectly kind of just narrow-linely just played that line. Well, Joe Shane played that line for that statement. Because expectations doesn't mean absolute. Expectation says if he's healthy.
Yep.
Also, define healthy in the NFL. Because you can sit there and be like, exactly what I'm trying to say. Like, so you can sit there and play devil's advocate, like, oh, listen, he wasn't that healthy. Like, we just didn't know if he was a perfect starter.
Like I said, we'll have to see what happens. And it's all going to be determined based on who's available at the quarterback position, what they do. And of course, they're going to expect it because they have nobody else they can say is definitely going to be on the roster that is better than DJ right now. So, of course, that is the current expectation. Things can change. Be very careful of reading too much into what he's saying.
Yeah, listen, there's a lot of Giants fans out there that are saying, oh, give DeVito a chance. Give DeVito a chance. I'm going to tell you one thing. Watch him play the Eagles, and let's see how many of you guys say give him a chance. See what you say after that game.
He's not the long-term answer. He's not, guys. He's playing really, really crappy teams, and he's doing just enough to beat them. So,
listen, we beat up on the Commanders, and which is what we've done for the past, X amount of years.
Oh yeah,
and we
beat the Patriots.
We squeaked.
We beat the Cardinals.
We did. I didn't want to say we beat. We did. Well, Tom DeVito beat the Cardinals, but we barely beat the Patriots.
Yeah, let's not get too excited about him. Yeah. Now, based on the comments he gave about DJ, Joe Shane was asked about as far as, if they would not draft a quarterback, and was often brought up also about Tyrod Taylor's contract being up. He said, no, it doesn't. I think we're going to have to do something on the quarterback, whether it's free agency or the draft. So that's telling you point blank, they plan on getting a quarterback, whether it's again, whether it's a QB in the draft or whether it's when they get in free agency. And that'll probably be determined based on what they think of this year's QBs and who is available when they draft.
Correct.
Point blank. But they're going to bring in somebody that at the very least will be a veteran who will compete with DJ for the job next year, with them hoping that he wins because he's the guy they signed to a contract.
Yeah.
So they're not going to rush anybody else out there. So whoever's the best person, and that's been Dable's way from get-go. Ask Kenny Galladay. Doesn't matter what you're getting paid. Doesn't matter where you got drafted. The player who's playing the best and gives them the best chance to win, that's the guy who's going to be out there. Point blank.
Oh, good old Kenny Galladay.
Oh, yes. All righty. So he was also asked about Tommy DeVito. He says DeVito has come a long way since he's arrived here in May as an undrafted guy. That's a testament to his work ethic and buying into the process, and Shea and Kafka and what they're teaching him. He's taken care of the football the last couple weeks, and he's done a good job. He's got some swagger and some presence about him the players like, and they follow him. So
swagger, bringing it back to the good old Jersey Shore.
Swagger.
10 years ago.
Old Spice swagger. Yeah, I mean, like I said, good review of him overall. I mean, we talked about this. I think they're going to keep him and try to keep him as a long-term potential backup to whoever supplants DJ. DJ will be here next year, obviously, because of the contract. As much as we talked about before, I'm probably better off without him because of the possible locker room dynamic. He's going to be here, guys. With that contract, he's going to be here. They're not going to pay him $50 million to sit at home.
I mean, yes, no. We talked about that. We don't have to get into that.
I'm just saying.
Listen, I was pro keeping him. Remember last week?
I know.
You were like, no, get rid of him.
No, I would say get rid of him. I don't think they're going to eat that kind of money to let him just go. I really don't. I wish they could figure out a way around it, but this doesn't make sense. You're going to have to keep him, I guess. Joe Shane was asked about Evan Neal as well, which is a couple of questions he got overall on him. He said Evan's got off to a really good camp, had a concussion, missed a couple of weeks, came back, and needed to play better. Evan needs to play better. He knows that. Looking forward to him getting back there when he's healthy. But I think he'd admit that there's some things he can do better. And we look forward to him continuing to improve. The only issue I have with that statement is him continuing to improve. There's been no improvement. He's gone down. He sucks.
He's been a roller coaster.
He's been bad. I do think a
lot of low dips, not high rises.
And I think we may not see him again until next year because Dable kind of alluded to that being a possibility also in his presser he had. He was also asked about Neal moving to guard, which I know a lot of people, including myself, want to see happen. He said, no, I don't think so. I went back and watched the Alabama stuff. The kid can play. We just got to get him more consistent. Like, I've got a lot of confidence in Evan. He's a hard worker. It's killing him right now to be out there. He's missing some valuable reps in year 2, but as soon as he's healthy, he's scratching and clawing to get back. We're looking forward to him getting there, but he knows there are some things he can do better, and that's what we expect from him. Yeah, I mean, I guess my hope would be just that I don't need to sit there and see the Giants go ahead and get somebody to be a obvious successor to Neal. I just need at least some competition. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like some competition next year where we can go, okay, you know what, Neal, this is your spot to keep. And what I mean by that is your spot to keep is you're going to have some competition to go that you could lose it to if you don't get your shit together.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, we've talked about it before. Like, our second string when it comes to that O-line is horrendous.
Yeah.
So if you could bring in competitions to be a good, good backups to like these players, like
I'm not even saying good. I'm saying like a legit guy who can go in there and battle with Neal. I'm not saying a backup. I'm saying like a swing tackle, better swing tackle, like a 3rd round draft pick or something, like something that we can sit there and say, you know what? If you want to start and you want to go with this, we need you to go here. Go to right tackle, compete with Neal, and You're either going to push him to improve, which will push you to improve in the process, or you're going to take his spot and you're going to be a starter in this league.
Yeah.
So, alrighty. So, the last bit of news from this presser I wanted to go over, which was interesting, was they were talking about the punt returner issue, which, let's be honest, has been a big issue this year and potentially one of the worst decisions that the Giants made this offseason was to basically ignore that spot, which was funny because we heard all year about how we needed a gunner this offseason.
I thought Eric Gray was our guy.
Oh, yeah. You know, if you listen to the response, let me read it first. I don't want to put any thoughts in your guys' head first. I want you guys to hear it and see if you take out this from what I took out from this. When asked about the punt returner situation, he says, "That's on me. To be honest with you, that's another. We tried to address the punt returner. We knew it's an issue. In the draft, some of the guys we liked went probably higher than we deemed you would take a guy." Let that sink in for a second. He says, Eric had done it at Tennessee and had done it at Oklahoma, and the coaches were comfortable. We were comfortable going into the regular season based on what we're seeing. I know Crowder is having success in Washington. You bring him up. We kept 7 receivers. We couldn't keep 8. Do the math. Who do you want to move on from the group if you kept Crowder? So that was just some moving parts in there, and that's me being candid with you, and that's on me, the returner. I'm glad we got Gunner here, though. He's done a really good job for us, and Eric's got a bright future, and we probably put him in the spot that wasn't most comfortable for him either. But he went out there, didn't flinch an eye, didn't bat an eye, and did what he could. But again, that's on me early on. We couldn't do everything overnight as much as he wanted to, and that was the position we continued to look for. And Pittsburgh let Gunner go, and we were able to get him. I thought that was interesting overall because, again, where I paused was for a legit spot because they said they liked guys more than him for this specifically, and they just weren't there.
Yeah, I mean,
they went higher than they expected. So that's we didn't get our first choice, second choice, or third choice.
Yeah,
we went what was left over, and we were fine with that.
Listen, sometimes that works for you.
It didn't this time. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like some teams luck out. Like look at Brock Purdy right now, last guy in the draft.
But that's not normal. You can't count on that. It's not. The Giants were counting on this. They were counting on this.
I think that statement says they were not counting on this. That he's taking blame for that bad position.
No, I'm saying they were counting on the late round draft pick to be the guy. That's what I mean by counting on this. Like they picked him at least in part because they were comfortable with him as a kick returner, punt returner.
Yeah, but it also acknowledges that this was not the guy they wanted. This is the guy they took.
Oh, I know.
Because they were trying to adjust.
Want him or not, they took him.
They took him because they're trying to address the situation.
No.
Want him or not, you're right. But when you try to adjust the situation, like we obviously know they needed to improve the spot. He knew he needed to improve the spot. So what did he do? He made a move in the 5th round to try to,
But here's my issue with this whole thing, though. He mentions Jamison Crowder, who we had on the roster, who's doing a very good job in Washington, has been a true pro for a lot of years in this league now. You're telling me we don't have people that we could have cut that are less productive than Jamison Crowder?
All right. So you're also playing the hindsight game.
No, I'm not, because we talked about this with Shep during the preseason. Shep is the guy that should have been cut.
Yes, you're right.
And I have nothing but respect for Shep. I love what he's done for this franchise. I will always think back fondly on Shep overall as a player. But his time is
a bit of a softie. And maybe Shane's the same way. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's more of a politician than I am. I don't know. But when you have a guy that's going to retire with your organization, and he's probably going to retire under your tenureship, are you going to cut him?
He could have retired in September.
Maybe he didn't want to, and maybe
I don't care if he wants to. Listen,
but,
I don't.
Listen, you're saying it from here, but Shep could have came out. And what if he put up 700 yards this year? You would have been
then
like, all right,
but
it would have justified him not getting cut. But
I don't
he
think any
did.
of us
But
thought that Shep was going to put up 700 yards this season
I'm just saying.
after all these
But I
ACL
don't think
tears
any
and all the
Giants,
injuries.
but no Giants at this point have put up 700
I'm just saying,
yards.
I think that
I don't think a
was.
starting quarterback's going to put up 700 yards.
I just think that was a mistake. I really do. I mean, I know we got in the comments. We'll get into those in a little bit here, but I know we got CPs talking about Paris Campbell as well. That one
You
I would
can't
say
say
is a
that.
little bit of hindsight. That one I would say is
Yeah.
hindsight. We had high
Well,
hopes.
you
for
pick him
Campbell,
up. Yeah, you picked him up to
but
play this year.
I'm just saying you could say that as if like, oh, who am I going to cut in this great group? You can say that when you got like 2,000 or 3,000 yard receivers and like a couple of guys over 500 yards. When you got this shit show, let's call it what it is, of an offense, and besides Hyatt and maybe Wandell, is there anybody really that you're like, oh my god, we must keep this guy in the roster for next year?
I mean, let's break it down.
I mean, I like Slayton. You know, I like Slayton, but even him, it's like we could replace him.
You're not wrong, but were you really going to cut the number one receiver last year, and number one receiver going into?
Oh no, I'm not saying that. Well, what I'm saying is
you can't
sit there and say who we're going to cut when it's been a shitty group.
Yeah, but that's also hindsight of saying it's a shitty group, because going into this year, we had a lot of expectations, and there was definitely, we could go back to podcasts in August of us talking about how well Campbell could possibly play, how Darren Waller is supposed to be a unicorn coming out.
Unicorn.
Yeah, he's not showing up. He's not existing.
He's extinct apparently.
Yeah, but so we got Slayton, right? All right, number one receiver, fantastic. Campbell, hindsight, Hyatt, rookie just drafted, same class with Eric Ray. Wandell coming off of ACL also looked great last year when he was drafted, right?
Like I said, Shep, that's the guy. Shep is the guy.
You got Shep as your veteran that we talked about keeping to justify, because he's that veteran guy to give, gospel, if you will, to these younger receivers that we had. I think that's hindsight. I think it's hindsight.
I don't think it is.
I think it's hindsight.
Respectfully, I don't think so. I disagree, good sir. I disagree, good sir.
I'm going to pull up video of us talking about it. Like, should he stay or should he go? But I think we lean towards he stays, just because of what he could give to the younger players.
Yeah, but we also don't have the ability to see all the stuff that they see at practice on our daily basis. Don't tell me that Shep was amazing in practice and then all of a sudden just didn't show up this year.
But he also could have been the guy that we don't see in those same practices going up. Hey, instead of doing this little dink and dunk, why don't you just do this? And we'll out.
Those tips are really working. The receivers are catching the ball so many times.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
The offense is looking so great.
I'm just saying.
You get your most veteran player. In his last year, it's hard to say.
I hear you.
Kind of.
All righty. Well, let's pay the bills real quick. We'll go through some comments, and then we're going to go into the NFL news. And we're going to do a little bit of a different recap this week for you guys, because we have all this other news to go over. We're just going to give you guys a quick recap of the scores, basically. And then, like I said, we're not here for 3 hours, because I know you guys like spending time with us.
We're 35 minutes in.
Yeah. All right. Let's pay the bills.
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
All righty. So Deb starts off with New Haven Pizza here. Yum. I gotta be honest, I've never had pizza in Connecticut, because I feel like when I go there, I feel like obligated to have like New England food, like some chowder or a lobster roll or something like that.
Oh, it's wicked awesome.
I don't know why, I just feel that I do. Deb says, I heard the Shane press conference, and he said Jones will be the starting quarterback when he's ready. He said he still has confidence in Jones. One thing that's interesting is when you say that he has confidence in Jones, if you listen to what he said, it depends on how you want to take it. He said, I have confidence in Jones as a person. That's what his exact words were.
He's got character.
Yeah, that's like saying, like, she's got a winning personality. I'm sorry. I don't buy it. I think he's just leaving the door open, like I said, in case. And it's a good option. He's doing the right thing. You don't want to destroy someone's confidence and make them feel unwanted because you might need them. So, Deb says we'll probably get Penix, who's already torn his ACL. That's the Giants' way. He's torn it twice, which is really the Giants' way. Just
yeah,
saying.
I was about to say that's 100% true.
But he looks really, really good. Let's be honest; he's been healthy the last couple of years as well. So maybe they just fixed whatever the hell was wrong with his knee the second time. I don't know.
We can build him. We can repair him.
CP's New York Sports Network says, "What's up, fellas? Neil realistically only gets one more chance at right tackle, which is next year. Apparently, I think he gets the chance, but he's not handed it. That's my personal opinion, but we shall see.
We shall see."
He also says, "Get Bobby Johnson out of here." I think we all agree with that one. Yes. And then Rob, your dad says, "Howdy," which is weird because he's not a Cowboy.
He thinks he is. He's in Arizona these days. Singing out Wild Earth's
just tip your hat.
Great grandson.
Hello, good sir. CP says Jamison Crowder was let go, was head scratching at the time. Agreed. He says in hindsight, cut Shep or Campbell. LOL. I still think Shep. I know Rob and I are disagree, which is fine. We can disagree from time to time.
I agree with CB's hindsight.
Let's see. Let's get into the NFL news here. So
yes,
last week we didn't get a chance to talk about it because a lot of our episodes last week were on delay because of the holiday there. But just to recap the news there, the Commanders did fire defensive coordinator Jack Del Rio. Rumor is that Ron Rivera is also to be evaluated after the season, and most people do see a parting of ways in the future there. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. It could be a very attractive spot for a coach to go, particularly while the team has a history of switching coaches often. This is now new ownership, so that won't affect them. You have a $90 million cap space going into next season. Ooh. You have a top 10 pick, probably the way they've been playing. You have a lot of things going for you in that team. Plus, potentially, you already have your quarterback, depending on what you think of Sam Howell. So that's why I say potentially. But yeah, it could be a very, very interesting spot for someone who believes in Sam Howell. I'll put it that way. And there are people that do.
Yeah.
I'm not sold to them yet personally.
I mean, the organization
better than I expected. I'll put it that way.
Yes. No, that's perfectly worded right there. He's doing better than expected. Could he be better?
Yes.
In the future? Yeah. I mean, obviously. But go forward, like...
but honestly...
With the right coach, get him a better offensive line, it could be... I mean, the Commanders...
But they're going to have enough
games.
They're going to have enough wins that they're not going to get a Drake May, a Caleb Williams. Let's be very frank on that. So...
Well, they got out 4?
Yes, same as us. They're the same exact record. We just have a better we have a stronger strength of schedule. No, stronger strength of schedule, which is the tiebreaker. Gotcha. So in other words, we've had the toughest schedule, which is bullshit. We've had the toughest schedule. We should get the earlier pick, god damn it. But that's what they do. So I mean, again, it's a spot where, let's say you're a guy who really likes Sam Howell, maybe like Eric Bieniemy moving up to head coach. You could be someone who steps in and says, you know what? We have a quarterback. We like the quarterback. If Marvin Harrison Jr. is not available, we have plenty of wide receivers. Let's just take the best tackle, because there's a couple of top-end tackles in this draft as well, and try to fix the O-line. There's a lot of options. $90 million. They can go get 1 or 2 more linemen. They can go do some stuff there. So, like I said, it's just going to be interesting offseason, I think, there in D.C., so to keep an eye on. Now, the big coaching news was today. Woo. Oh, yeah. There you go. The big coaching news, don't you know? The Carolina Panthers fired head coach Frank Reich in the middle of his first season, as the team started out just 1-10. Special teams coordinator Chris Tabor, which, great. The special team coordinator being a head coach. Let me tell you, as a Giant fan, that's a great move. So he's been named the interim head coach and plans to rely heavily on the expertise of offensive assistants and former head coach for the Colts and Lions, Jim Caldwell, who people may forget because he's been not coaching in a few years now for whatever reason. He should have had a head coaching job already, in my opinion. Has a record of 62-50 as a head coach. Has a winning record at both Detroit and Indianapolis. So it's not like he's like some bum there. Having a winning record for just Detroit is impressive. Let me just put it that way. So that pair also made the decision to also relieve running back coach Deuce Staley and quarterback coach Josh McCown of their jobs. So those two were also gone along with Frank. Interesting. Keep in mind they gave up so much stuff for
well, this is
just for one player for Bryce Young, and it's just not working.
They were sold on this guy. They need to look this offseason to find a head coach that is going to say, I will fix Bryce Young, and he will get a job. But the problem is the owners.
Can you fix him by giving him stiletto heels? I'm just saying, like, he needs like the hooker boots version of cleats. Like, that's the problem. He's too short. He can't see the damn field.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, I would disagree.
Not all his problem, but it's part of the problem.
It's a big part of the problem. But if he made it in college, playing with a guy similar size, there's been other quarterbacks.
It's like
that have had similar size issues, if you will.
Could you imagine when they draft linemen? They're like, what do you look for in a lineman? The shortest, the better. We want our lineman under 5'10".
I'm saying
5'6" fat ass to be our tackle.
I made the comment. This is the third firing of a coach in this organization in the past 4 years. Like, can we talk about maybe you didn't give Frank Wright enough time to develop this team that's been an absolute shit show since Cam Newton was there and was irrelevant with a positive record, especially since you didn't give him one complete season. Granted, it is a dumpster fire. But
here's the interesting part when you say it, though, because Jeff Howe of The Athletic said just what you're saying. He tweeted out this. He said they were head coaching candidates to remove themselves from the Panthers search process last year, in part due to concerns with owner David Tepper's track record of making impulsive decisions. A day like today isn't likely to alleviate those concerns.
No, Grant, the guy's got a buttload of money.
He does have a buttload of money, and that's why he got
and
some of the coaches he's had.
Yeah, and sometimes you just can't throw money at a football problem. You need to fix football problems with football answers.
Yeah,
sometimes it's not the most expensive answer. Sometimes it's getting yourself, let's say, a rookie quarterback. It's been $40 million, $50 million on a.
But remember, that's what they did with Matt Rule, though. They threw all this money at Matt Rule to make him not come to the Giants for the interview. Like, he doesn't care about throwing money around, but sheesh, dude. Nobody wants to get a short leash. They want pay and security. They want both.
That's it. Like there's I heard some talks possibly Hardball coming back up from Michigan after being getting in trouble.
I'm telling you, Vegas
from the NCAA. Oh yeah,
Vegas
because
McCarthy gets drafted by them. Yep.
Because I was going to say, because you got to think about this too. Is Hardball is one of those coaches, like, he'll win you games, but he's got to have the say in how I'm going to win you these games.
Yep.
And
that's why I think the Raiders still, because Mark Davis is a pushover.
Yeah, well, that I'm just saying.
I mean, look, someone convinced him to get the haircut. If you're convinced that haircut looks good, you're easily convinced. I'm sorry.
You're not wrong. I'm just saying. you go to Carolina. You're going to be on this short leash. You're going to have to answer to your ownership, telling you this is the player you got to get. This is what you got to do. Like,
yeah.
Apparently, he was the one saying, like, you got to get Bryce Young, but apparently Frank Wright and there were talks about them getting CJ Stroud.
I'm not sure what happened. There's a lot of rumors out I've heard today with that exact mentality, but I can't say. I've never heard anything
But
from the
I
bigger
never heard it
news
out of.
articles.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've never heard it out of Frank Wright's mouth,
Yep.
nor Panthers ownership, or
And
Bryce Young
Frank
or
won't
CJ
say it
Stroud.
personally. He was not going to say it.
No.
If he says it, it's years later. It's that one of those kind of things. That's it.
Yeah,
So,
but I'm just saying, like that's some of the things that I've heard
oh
out
yeah.
in the past 48 hours about this whole thing. So
Oh yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot of good coaches that are going to say El Paso. I'm going
Yeah.
to be a head
Carolina.
coach for Carolina. Yeah,
You can make it rhyme. Just put the O at the end. All right.
something like that.
Let's go over for you guys real quick all the scores from this past week. Like I said, we're gonna do a little different than we usually do because of the fact we've already spent almost an hour here going over all the news with you guys. Want to give you guys all the scores still here, but we're not going to go in depth like we usually do with each of them. Probably return with that again next week, though, assuming nothing big major happens again because just so much stuff came out today. All right, so we start off with. Okay, go for it. What did you guys say?
I was going to say. I mean, granted, we'll probably talk about a little bit more about this going over the review of going over the pick'em
The
show.
recap.
I'm saying, we'll recap a little bit with some of these past games when we go over.
It'll probably come up in
shows.
conversation, yeah.
So we'll get a little bit more into there, but yeah,
and that'll be Wednesday, of course, when Rob has to eat a jalapeno for losing 2 weeks ago, since he keeps on forgetting to go to the store and getting a goddamn jalapeno. Get a jalapeno, damn it!
Damn it, man! It was just Thanksgiving.
And you can't
go shopping because I have so
for
many
the
leftovers.
record. You cannot get breading and cheese and put a jalapeno popper does not count as a jalapeno.
Damn it! No, we're gonna
also, if you were to get a little sombrero and get a stick on it and call it Jose Jalapeno on a stick, I will not complain. Nor will any other Jeff Dunham fan on this podcast. Just saying. Jose Jalapeno on a stick. Somebody like complained one time about it. Like he says things that are so racist. I mean, he makes fun of every race, though. That's the thing. It's okay if you do that. That's not racist. That's comedy.
He's the UN of being racist.
Yes, like that's comedy at that point,
includes
guys.
Everyone.
Exactly. If he picked out one group, I'd be like, okay, well, that's wrong. But he picks on everybody. All right, let's go to the games, though. So we can start off, obviously, with Thanksgiving. Gobble, gobble, gobble. Packers at Lions. Packers win 29. Lions 22.
Great game. Up next, you had not a great game. You had the Commanders going into Dallas playing the Cowboys. Cowboys win 45-10.
Ooh, killed. Just like the Seahawks were killed by the 49ers, which was the final game of Thanksgiving. 49ers 31, Seahawks 13.
They got their stuffing. Friday. Friday.
Black Friday special.
Black Friday special.
Now we know why this game was on discount.
It's definitely a prime game for sure.
Aaron Rodgers did not do his discount double check.
I was about to say, going into this game at the beginning of the year, this probably sounded like a great idea that two powerhouse, quote unquote, offenses are going to play off each other. But guess what? Aaron Rodgers went through it out game one, and Dolphins win 34 to the Jets 13.
Oof. All righty, we're on to Sunday here. The battle of the NFC South for who gets to win the shittiest division in all of football. Falcons win 24-15, putting them in the driver's seat for that division.
Oh, yeah. Talk about another crappy game. Steelers go into the Bengals. Steelers 16, Bengals 10.
What's crazy, the Steelers got a ton of yards, and everybody's like, oh, look, we got a new offensive coordinator. We got a shitload of yards. You still scored 16 points, guys.
Yeah. Is Canada the problem, or is it Kenny Pickett the problem?
His tiny hands can't carry the offense. Jaguars at the Texans. I get all the good games. The battle for the AFC South here. Jaguars get a squeaker here. Get 24 to the Titans. Jacksonville Jaguars get 24. Houston Texans get 21 there. So another close game between those two. And see, still got some time. That may not decide the division, but it definitely puts the Jags in that driver's seat.
Listen, if the Jaguars, like, I'm going to do a little side rant right here because I know we said we're going to go over this quick. But the Jaguars, they have the opportunity with the wins they have and the easy schedule they have lined up for the rest of the year. They have the opportunity to actually take the number one seed in the AFC with this win.
We'll see.
So we could see this going in there. It's good. It's going to get a little saucy, a little crazy there. And they're playing Miami, I think, next week, which is literally like if they beat Miami.
To Miami.
Ooh.
The Battle of Florida. Is it safe to say the Jaguars are kind of like the Cowboys of the AFC? Like they haven't beaten anybody. This is the first quality win.
I am not going to not agree, but I'm also not going to disagree with that statement. Like
I'm just saying, the Cowboys haven't beat anybody actually.
I'm just saying. I was going to get at this. Jaguars last year at this time of the year, they went on a tear. They had a losing record. I think it was 3-7, and they made it to the playoffs. And they're looking like they did last year with a better record. And they might light up the AFC and going in. I think the first seed, they're not going to lose in the divisional round. In the wild card.
I would root for the people of Jacksonville. They deserve it.
I would too. All right, up next.
Put down the meth pipe, Jacksonville. The Jaguars are coming.
I'll be talking about
the Jaguars. The Jacksonville is the meth capital of Florida.
Just of Florida.
I've been there multiple times. It's not a nice place. Jacksonville Beach is nice. Jacksonville, no.
No. All right. I mean, I'll go on another rant and talk about the Jaguars on Wednesday. But you got the Buccaneers going into Indianapolis to play the Colts.
Yes.
Colts beat up on the Bucs 27-20. It sounded kind of close, but that game really didn't feel close.
No, yeah. Did not. Speaking of close games, we've already talked about in our post game there, but the Giants, of course, had another win here as they beat the Patriots 10-7
on a skid mark. All right, talk about why Frank Reich got fired. Panthers go to the Titans. Titans win 17-10. Once again, another game that sounds like it was close, but it was never in.
Bring out the helmets and you bring out the best.
Yeah, exactly. I can't wait for fans to go into the stadium just throwing mayonnaise on the field.
Here's a game that didn't appear close, doesn't look close, and apparently never was close. The Rams at the Cardinals. Rams win 37-14.
They were shellacking on Arizona. And another game that was never close was the Browns. The Brownies going into the Mile High Club over there. Heyo. Broncos win 29 to the Browns 12. So much for that great Browns defense. Although sidetracked again, real fast. Fun fact: since the Broncos had 70 points shellacked on them by the Dolphins, they have let up 80 points.
You know what though? Part of me also is just is this the hottest team in all of football right now?
It is.
They're hotter than Hans.
They're so hot. They're so hot right now. No, like they have the longest.
I mean, think about it, they did 29 yards. Russell Wilson had 134 yards passing.
I didn't say they were pretty.
I'm just saying, that's just weird. That's just finding a way to get it done.
Yes, and the defense is looking elite.
Yeah,
get it on your DraftKings or your FanDuels.
Here's a good stat for you. Nick Bonitto of the Broncos had 1 tackle for the day and 1 assist. Think about this. How many sacks do you think he had?
How many?
1.5. 1.5. His lone tackle was a sack, and his lone assist was the half a sack. That was it. Crazy stat. Okay. Next up here, we got the Chiefs at the Raiders there. The Raiders was a really close game in the beginning. Raiders were actually winning for a while there. People got a little worried, but the Chiefs pulled it out 31-17.
It was 14-8 as we were podcasting.
Yes.
As Mr. What's his face was sitting there telling us all about it, how they were losing.
Mr. What's his face was a
yes.
Wow.
Mr. What's his face. Anyway, so up next, talking about what's his face. You got the Bills going into Philadelphia to play the Eagles. Bills find ways to lose good games.
Yes, they do.
Eagles win 37-34.
And talk about it. That's a really good game. If anybody's got to rewatch any games of the week, that's probably the one to rewatch. I mean, The refs and the Eagles
Heartbreaker.
just took it to the Bills in the end. Obvious holding calls not called by the Eagles. But I'll give them a credit because the
Field
Bills got a
goals.
field goal in overtime. They were up by 3. Obviously, that means the Eagles now had to turn around and score their own field goal to keep the game going or get a touchdown to win, and they got the touchdown. Jalen Hurts just ran it in for the touchdown and won the game for him. So, good win, but you got to wonder now, is this the end of the Bills?
They are on shaky grounds, and we'll talk about that more next week.
Yeah, it's the Buffalo Shake.
Well, on Wednesday, I should say. Not
It's the Buffalo Shake.
Shakety shakes.
That could be like a nice 50 song.
Right?
Right? It should be. It really, really should be. But they're 6-6, by the way, guys. They're 500. That's how bad their season's gone for them now. We called it early on. We did. Rob and I said early on the window was closing. We thought we were wrong, so we went a little bit of a hot streak, but we're right in the end. Not Frank Wright, the real Wright.
No, yes.
All right, last up there, the Ravens at the Chargers there. Chargers win. Chargers lose. The Ravens got 20. Chargers get 10. And, of course, we got the game tonight going on.
I thought there would be more shellacking in that the Ravens game because you know what? It happens every time everyone talks about Lamar Jackson playing against a really good quarterback. He spanked him over the past 2 years.
He has. Not this one. Maybe because Justin Herbert's just not that good and he's overrated.
It could be. You might be up to something. I do like him.
I like him, but he's got a 500 record in the NFL. I'm at the point where I need to see. I was about to say that I need to see him with a good coach and a second coach before I can say it's definitely him. But he's starting to have that mentality of like a, dare I say, like a Drew Brees kind of guy, like a guy who puts up a lot of stats but doesn't necessarily win you anything.
Well, Drew Brees got a Super Bowl ring, so you can't say that.
Wait, he got a Super Bowl ring as a hold on. He got a Super Bowl ring as a backup because Tom Brady won his first ring. He was on the IR. Yes, Drew Brees does not have a Super Bowl ring from him being an actual player.
Wait, who?
No, I'm sorry. Drew Bledsoe. Wrong Drew. Sorry.
Oh, I was like
wrong Drew. Wrong Drew.
Oh, I was like New Orleans.
Wrong Drew. So many Drews, it's hard to keep track. I'm a Drew. Breeze is a Drew. Bledsoe's a Drew.
You're a Drew. Rogers. Yeah.
Drews are everywhere. Someone's going to mishear that word, by the way. We are saying Drew, just for the record, like my name. But yeah, like I said, Drew Bledsoe is a possibly good comp to what he's becoming. A guy who puts up a lot of stats, has a very strong arm, can make the throw anywhere, but doesn't necessarily have that winning factor. But again, I want to see him with another coach first before I declare that as my personal opinion. But I'm leaving that open as a possibility.
So, I mean, we finished our main part of the episode pretty fast because we had so much football news. We're going to go one more little side rant here. So, coaching goes a long way. Steelers, you've been saying it all year because I'm like, how do they win games? Sean Payton. Exactly. Sean Payton, we all laughed at him like, was Drew Brees the real reason why you got a Super Bowl ring? Now he's the hottest coach and making Russell Wilson look great. That defense is being elite, like he talked about. It's through the whole season. We all know Bill Belichick is one of the best coaches out there. He's going to go down as one of the best, if not the best coach, who's also in the hot seat, who also might lose his job. You see, like you can see Bill Belichick going over to LA.
You're gonna see Herbert. He's bringing Derrick Henry with him. I'm telling you, there's something for some reason. I think that's going to happen. That's going to be the thing.
I'm just saying, like, if you get a Derrick Henry,
I don't know why I think that it's the random thought,
and you bring Bill Belichick, you can turn around and watch that. You can see that team being a dynasty until
we'll see.
What's his face just rides off into the sunset,
which could be any day now, basically at his age. I don't mean the sunset of his career. I mean the sunset of his life. All righty, guys. We'll be back again for you guys Wednesday. We're going to go over our
update
episode. Huh?
I said update. Bills are up. Bears.
The Bears up.
Bears are up 3-0.
I see that because I look at the comments section. And
Oh,
Deb already had
I
us covered
googled
with
that before that.
Yeah, I googled as well, but and she also says Belichick went downhill without Brady. He did, but most people will go downhill without Brady. All right, guys. So again, we'll be back again Wednesday. We're going to do our picks episode there. Rob's going to eat the jalapeno, the whole jalapeno. Got
the whole thing, one bite.
One bite. No milk allowed.
To rule them all.
You can have mayonnaise. You can wash it down with mayonnaise. All right. And Thursday, guys, because we do not have a game this week, we'll be doing our episode talking about the greatest surprises, positive, and disappointments, negative, for the Giants this season. This might be a buzzkill, but it's going to be more negative than positive, probably.
Don't be negative, Nancy.
I can't help it. We're 4-8. We're 4-8. That's only because we were on a 2-game winning streak. Not to be confused with skid mark. Don't need to call it that again. It's a streak. It's a streak, damn it. All right, guys. And like I said, we're gonna have another episode for you guys at some point this week here. We're gonna do our episode talking about all the college quarterbacks there, because everybody wants to hear as far as that. So we'll do a way too early QB discussion. Because obviously things can change. Because things will change between now and then. But I know everybody wants 100%. To kind of hear it and kind of go over those guys there. So we'll do that for you guys here later this week as well. We'll figure out our schedule as far as that. We may not do it Sunday because we know you guys got games you want to watch as well. So we'll figure that out. And like I said, we'll see you guys on Wednesday. As always, we're live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter/X, Twitch, and Rob's favorite. He's all like doing a little jitterbug there. Wrong direction. I'm this way.
Oh, yes.
And of course, we're on every audio podcast platform, pretty much known demand. So again, appreciate you guys listening in. Enjoy the next couple of days. We'll see you guys Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as always. 9. And as always, Giants fans,
go G-Man!
Go G-Man! G-Man and the masters of the universe. G-Man.
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support. If you made it this long, you must have enjoyed it. So I am sure you have followed us on all the social media platforms. Of course, you have subscribed to the show on your favorite app as well and given us a top rating. Right? Right? Right?
Thank you to those who have signed up for our silver gold levels of membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.